Welcome to the Guitar Garden. Today we're going to be looking at the Chris Tomlin song, Forever Holy. Let's check it out. Forever Holy in the key of D flat. What I'm trying to do today is to give you the tools that you need to play this song in pretty much any key. So our church, we play it in A. So in order to be able to play it in any key that you like, you need to know why the guitar is playing the guitar parts that they are. So we're going to start off with the pre-chorus, which is where the guitar parts begin. The pre-chorus starts with a G flat chord, and what the guitars are doing is playing that note on the 3rd fret of the G string, which is the 3rd of the chord. So if we're looking at that G flat major chord there, it's where our 2nd finger would sit. So that's the first note. He kind of swells it in. Then the next chord is a B flat minor. So moving from G flat to B flat for a beat. We're again playing the 3rd of that chord too. So if you're playing this B flat chord, it's going to be again where you would normally put that 2nd finger. So for the first 2 notes of the pre-chorus, moving to the 3rd chord, which is the start of the 2nd bar, is an A flat. Play an A and move it down a fret. A flat. Again, we're playing that 3rd of the chord, which is that note on the 1st fret of the B string. So all together, it goes. Back to the B flat minor, then to the G flat. B flat minor, and then to the G flat. Moving on to the first chorus, starts with this shape here. Now, what is that? Well, what it actually is the bottom half of this G flat chord. So it's an A-shaped bar chord right up here. So he's just taken the bottom two notes of that chord there. Then moving to the B flat minor, sliding up to there. So what's he playing there? Well, he's playing actually that B flat minor chord, but up here, but just taking again the top 2 notes of the chord. So together, the G flat, B flat minor, and then we're coming back to the A flat. Now the A flat is going to be the same chord shape as the G flat, but just 2 frets higher. So that's going to be here. So the three chords together. G flat, B flat minor, and then to A flat minor. So up to tempo. So that's the first 2 bars. Okay, moving to the D flat with an F sharp bass. What he's actually doing is playing this E shape D chord, E shape, right up to the D flat, and he's just grabbing those bottom 2 notes on the B and the E string. Okay, the bottom 2 notes of that shape. Alright, and he's playing that for 2 beats. The next little part, he's following just a little line. So all together. Now we slide up to the 14th. Now while we're sliding up to the 14th, well, we're going to be hitting an E flat minor chord. E flat minor, my goodness, what is that? Well, basically if we think in terms of our D chord, and we come up a fret, okay, we've got E flat. Bring that up an octave. we've got E flat. But this is an E flat minor chord. So that's an E flat major, so we need to flatten that third, which is the 14th fret of the E string. So we have that nice little E flat shape there. But he's not playing the shape, he's just playing the note, playing that tasty flat third. So that part's going E flat minor, then we go into an A flat, playing that 11th, and then back to the 9th fret for the D flat. What I like to do at that part sometimes, depending on who else is playing with us in the band, is there's a little, it's not a guitar part, but it's a little part that goes, and it's probably done by a keyboard and it's throughout the song. The guitar actually does it in the tag. So what that part is basically taking this D flat bar chord and we're playing from the 3rd, which is actually the 10th fret of the G string, so it's the 3rd of the chord. So just going down the arpeggio or the chord shape. Now, the chord changes to a D flat, but with an added 4th. Not to get too technical, but if that's our 3rd, like I've been mentioning, the 4th is just going to be 1 fret higher, okay? So the little run goes the 3rd of the chord, the 5th of the chord, the root of the chord, back to the 5th, then to the 4th of the chord, the 5th of the chord, the root of the chord, back to the 5th, then back to the 3rd. That might be a bit technical, but slow it down and run it through a few times. But together it goes. Or on that end you can strum it. So up to tempo. Coming to the verse, it's going to be based on this D flat chord here, which is an A shape, D flat chord. But we're going to be playing this D flat note, which is on the 6th fret of the G string. And it's good to base all these riffs and parts on the chords so that as you play in different keys, you can play those parts far more easily, work them out far more easily. And also it helps me to remember the part because I know that it's based off two things, that chord and it's based off the major scale. So if we were to play the D flat major scale from that note, so the notes of this whole verse are all going to be based in that scale. But the start of the verse, so we're going to be playing 16 notes, so that's 4 notes per beat, starting on this D flat note. So as each beat goes, you've got to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. When we get to the second bar, we continue that, but then we have a little riff that goes like this. And what that is, again, we're taking notes out of that little scale. So we're hitting the 9th fret of the B string twice, back to the 6th on the G string, and then a pull off, from the 7 to the 6. And it's a matter of releasing the palm muting just a little bit to let those notes ring, and you get that nice little effect. So that last bit really slow. Bar 3 and 4 of the verse is similar and goes like this. So in that we're playing the 6th for 2 beats on the G string, then the 8th on the G for 2 strings, for 2 beats. On the 4th bar we're playing the 6th again, and then on the last beat there's a little riff. So putting both parts together. You essentially play that twice through for the verse. In the last 2 bars of the verse that repeat before the chorus, we're coming off the, so holding on to that note, and then as the chord changes to the B flat for the last 2 beats of that bar, slide down to the 4th on the B, and then up on the next bar, the G flat, we're hammering on from the 6th to the 7th. So those last 2 bars repeated sound like this. Moving on to the chorus. Now the chorus has lots of flats in it, okay? And if you don't know your chords, it can be quite challenging. What the guitarist is playing in this part is a lot of what I call triads and dyads based on part chords and different shapes that you may not have seen before. And if this is foreign to you, might I suggest you check out my videos, the links will be in below, on essential triads and dyads for the electric guitar, because what you'll get is all of the foundation as to why these chords are so important and how to play them, what's the context of them, so that you can utilize them in your playing in whatever key you're playing. I said playing quite a lot there, didn't I? So check it out. The link's in below, Essential Triads and Dyads. There's 2 videos, plus there's a booklet which goes into great detail showing you how to play all of those chords in any key. But the chords for this one, we're starting on a G flat. So we've already established that we have a G flat chord here, which is based on the A-shaped bar chord. Coming up to that G flat note, we play a G flat chord. And you could quite simply play along, okay? The reason why I believe the guitarist has chosen these voicings is because you move the smallest amount and there's less fingering changes that needs to happen, and you get those essential notes that are cutting through. So if this is our G flat, again based on the A-shaped bar chord, what we're going to do is just swap our 1st and our 3rd fingers around and just play with our 1st finger where our 3rd finger was on that 11th fret, but we're going to add our pinky to the 14th fret of the B string, which is still part of the chord, but we get this really high-pitched or higher-pitched chord or triad. Now that sets us up for the next chord, which is the B flat minor, which looks like this. You might be saying, what is that? Well, basically what it is, it's this B minor 7, or B, this is a B minor 7 chord. Okay, we're just playing it up here. Alright, so we're playing the 14th on the A with our 2nd finger, 14th on the G with our 3rd finger, and 15th on the B with our pinky. Only those three strings, the A string, the G string, and the B string. The root note is going to be whatever is on that 14th, or whatever that, on the 14th fret, okay? So it's a movable chord. So if we're going from the G flat to the B flat minor, for 1 beat, and then we're going to an A flat. Now to go to the A flat, we're going to be playing again this A-shaped bar chord, but we're only going to be playing part of it. Again, those 3 strings, the A string, the G string, and the B string. We're going to mute that D string. So we're just going to play it like that. Now, the purpose for all this is so that as we're going from the G flat to the B flat minor to the A flat, we've got minimum amount of movement. Just watch that again. The G flat, the B flat minor, and then to the A flat. Let's play it a few times. Now we move to the next chord, which is a D flat. Now to play the D flat, what we're doing is we're actually taking this D flat shape, this E shape D flat chord, E bar chord, right? And then we're taking this D shaped bar chord and we're combining them to get 11th on the A string, muting the D string, 13th on the G string, and 14th on the B string. It's a great, great power chord. So going from A flat to D flat to then B flat minor. So those 4 bars sound like this. Now the next 4 bars, we're adding 1 extra chord, thankfully, just 1. And that's the E flat minor. Now to play E flat minor, what we're thinking in terms of is an E minor bar chord. So remember this shape, but because it's E flat, we're going to be playing it up here with our root note on the 11th fret. Start with our 3rd finger on the 13th fret of the D string, and then bar the 11th fret with our 1st finger. And then we're going back to our A flat chord, which all we have to do is just make a little switchy-roo. Okay, so E flat minor, back to A flat, 1 more chord, and this is a D flat. Now we've already played a D flat in this progression, but we're going to play a different voicing. Playing this D flat, E-shaped D flat chord, remember, root note there on the 9, and we're just going to play the bottom half of it. And then to play the D suspended or D sus, we just need to. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. And over that part, you could either do that little riff that we talked about before. Alright, so the whole chorus goes like this. The next part of the song is just the 2nd pre-chorus. And what's happening there is that it's playing similar to the 1st pre-chorus, but there's just a few more notes added. It's pretty sparse. Okay, so over the G flat, what he's playing is this. And the final part of the song is just the final tag. where it repeats the last line or the last 4 bars of the chorus. The tag starts on the E flat minor. We already know what the E flat minor is. Goes to the A flat minor, and then over the D flat we just play our little riff that we've already learned. Up to speed and tempo.